Portugal was the first colonial empire which started with the Age of Discovery. It had explored and discovered at least 15 countries across the world before any other European colonial power. Goa was one such state that was conquered by the Portuguese in 1510. On July 25, 1583, the Portuguese decided to demolish Hindu temples and convert the local population to Christianity. This resulted in the Konkulim Revolt, where Christian priests and civilians were massacred at the hands of the Hindu Kshatriyas. Some Hindus preferred amputation of their hands rather than conversion to Christianity. On December 12, 1961, with the Operazione Vijay, Goa was occupied and annexed by the Indian Army, and after 451 years of colonization by the Portuguese Empire, Goa became a part of the Indian Union on 19 December 1961.
O governo português chegou para Goa em 1510, é verdade, mas só na região da velha cidade. Quer dizer, ocupava uma área de 24 km². E pouco a pouco foram aumentando esse domínio, até que em 1780 conseguiram formar a sua colônia de Goa, que começava no Tiracol e terminava em Talpona, no Rio Sul, é Canapa. Havia duas, três parcelas muito pequenas, em Dio e Damão. Our communication was in Portuguese, and suddenly within 24 hours, English was introduced, without any respect for our people.
38% of Goa's population became Christian Catholic because of the Portuguese. When the Portuguese converted people here, they made sure that they didn't do away with the caste because it became convenient for them to rule. So you see the upper caste, the Brahmins, who were priests in the Hindu religion, they became priests in the Catholic religion. So that caste system prevailed, and it continues to prevail to this day.
Each country should have their own independence.
My father went to jail in 1954 for supporting Indian nationalism.
United Nations have given a wonderful directive that every country has got their own right to get established in the world.
Came a lot of knowledge and research in agro field, the mango development. The Portuguese brought cashew. From South America, the Portuguese brought potato. These are benefits of globalization.
People who are born here, who have Goan roots, feel Goan first.
The land away from the coast is rich in minerals and ores, and mining forms the second largest industry.
It began in 1927 with the first lease. We are exporting more than 50% of the ore from India.
On November 19, 1955, under Portuguese rule, an Italian engineer, Alessandro Vassallo, constituted together with Eugene Plotsky and created a limited company, Sesa Goa Limitada.
At that time I was working for the Economic Times based in Hyderabad. Sesa Goa being a big company here, and we were always looking for news. We heard about this takeover which was being routed through this company which had acquired certain companies in Italy. So that's the reason how I landed here and met, I think his name was Riva, I'm not too sure now. That's how I wrote the story. But primarily it was because it was the only takeover of an Indian company which we suspected he would sell to somebody else.
La Sesa Goa era una società fondata da un finanziere italo-svizzero del Canton Ticino che si chiamava Vassallo. Io ero impiegato della Finsider, compagnia di Stato per l'acciaio in Italia, e come geologo ero nella sezione delle miniere all'estero. La Finsider aveva partecipazioni minerarie in differenti paesi e una era qui a Goa. L'Ilva, creata da Prodi fu ceduta a Riva, che prese tutto, incluse le partecipazioni minerali. Quella di Goa e una in Canada. Riva si vendette prima quella canadese e poi si vendette la stessa Goa.
All'epoca era presidente dell'IRI ed era
Sì, lui dice che non si ricorda più di Goa e quindi ritiene opportuno non fare l'intervista.
Goa è stata venduta ai Riva e quindi che poi da quel momento è poi diventato Ilva Mining. Questo era diciamo
sì, però sì, comunque lui mi ha detto che di no.
La vendette alla Mitsui giapponese per una somma equivalente a quella che lui aveva pagato tutto il gruppo Ilva all'IRI.
Riva came later, after he bought from the Italian government the company. So I don't know, I know it belonged to the Riva group in Italy who sold it to Mitsui, and then Mitsui sold it to Vedanta. But these are, London-based transactions.
Sequeira now is owned by Vedanta. Vedanta is owned by Anil Agarwal, who lives in London. He does not even live in India. So, much of those profits have gone to this one company. Of course, they have shareholders, but it's nothing to do with Goa in that sense. They might have given a few jobs, etc. But that still is nowhere close to the 4,200 crore profits they made in 2010-2011. 4,200 crore is equivalent to the revenue collections of Goa in that same year. I mean, an entire state revenue collections is what a single company like Sequeira earned after taxes.
Vedanta in Niyamgiri, they tried to manipulate because Chidambaram was one of the ex-director of the Vedantas, and he is a finance minister there now. Everything happens here also. Everything happens with the politicians and Sequeira. They know what to play.
Not to keep Mr. Anil Agarwal in London as a rich person for the rest of his life and to look after his generations, and not to help Mr. Avdut Timlo and Siddhartha Goa to survive for another 55 generations. That is not the purpose for which mining should be done.
Agarwal, if I'm not mistaken, it's on the website, gave BJP 800 crores for the last election and 1,000 crores for this election.
स्मशान भूमीची शांती काय गोयांना इलेक्शनाच्या निमतान in the name of the elections, in the name of the model code of conduct, they want to smother the problems, the aspirations of the people of Goa, and especially the oppressed section, the working class, which we will not allow, We'll fight back. A time has come to fight back.
You are sitting in this room and you're looking at me, but just look around. Iron ore is like a mineral. This is glass. This is silica mining. You are touching the floor, that's limestone mining. You got that aluminium ducts, that's bauxite mining. You got electricity here, that's copper mining. And then you got this steel concrete structure, that's steel, which is iron ore mining. Everything, your iPad, your laptop, and these are rare earth mining. So just show me something which is not mining. Everything, you're wearing glasses, that's also silica. Or you're wearing some frames. So life is about mining. Without mining, there's no life.
The truth is also, without iron ore, there can be no steel. And without steel, there can be no development. In fact, everything we see around us today, whether it's roads, bridges, railways, airports, ports, or even alternative means of power, need iron and steel. So the question is no longer whether we should mine iron ore or not. The question is, how then should we mine it?
The rush for iron and manganese ore began in the year 2000, during the run-up to the Beijing Olympic Games in 2008. With the price of iron ore touching $180 per tonne in the international market, Goa's mineral resources were overexploited and even abandoned mines were reopened. In 2013, the report of the MB Shah Commission on mining in Goa accused both the state and the Union Ministry of Environment and Forests of allowing illegal mining in the state. The common illegalities are mining without license, mining outside lease area, and transporting minerals illegally. The Shah Commission was headed by the retired judge of the Supreme Court of India, Justice M.B. Shah. The Shah Commission report had exposed a €4.5 billion illegal mining scam, in which politicians, bureaucrats, and mining companies were indicted.
I feel that there might be minor illegality prior to 2006, but 2006, when there was a boom in China market, when the prices went up, the money, income, profit out of mining increased manifold. There was a windfall profit. So there was time probably the illegalities really started. I estimated the loss to the state revenue to something like 750 million. So you multiply it by 10 times for the value of the ore, ex Hong Kong or ex Shanghai. It's about 6 to 7 billion worth of ore. The revenue loss to the state is about 3,000-4,000. That's about $750 million.
2004 is when the huge demand for Goan ore started from China, and it was in the lead up to the Olympics in China. Supposing a particular mine was allowed to mine just 5 lakh tons in the year, they would go right up to 11 lakh tons, so they were over mining, and that was creating a huge havoc in the mining areas. The fields were getting destroyed, and the air was so polluted that some children couldn't go to school, in the primary schools. So many children were knocked down and killed by trucks, by mining trucks, just driving recklessly through the villages. There was like a traffic of 5,000 trucks a day on one single road in a village called Kavre and Kepe. It is unbelievable. From say about 2,000 trucks overnight, there were 20,000 trucks bought in Goa.
There are supposed to be 22,000 trucks, but only 8,000 truck drivers have registered for the scheme. This means that the remaining 14,000 trucks were illegal.
The most illegalities are done by Sezawas.
In Goa, there are more than 4 lakh people in a population of 15 lakhs who are dependent on mining. This Goa government, BJP government, has summarily stopped mining from 10 September 2012. During the last 2 years, the mining affected people are in great distress and misery. Loans from banks and financial institutions have been mounting. The workers are under constant threat of losing their jobs and their livelihood.
माइनिंग बंद होने के बाद अभी पूरा हालत बेकार हुआ है हम लोग. वही बिजनेस था हम लोगों का माइनिंग का, ट्रांसपोर्टिंग का. गाड़ी बंद है, घर में खड़ा है, गाड़ी देख के प्रॉब्लम होता है. बैंक वाला हमको सताता है कॉल करके. बैंकिंग प्रॉब्लम, इंस्टॉलमेंट नहीं भरा है, बहुत ओवरड्यू हुआ है हमारा.
Starlight has decided and went ahead with making an application to lay off workers with 50% wages. We fought back. We got that application dismissed by the central government. On the other hand, Messrs. Fomento, a Goan company, it has taken out employment in a way. It has started layoff from 15th February without any permission of the government. in 20 different locations. You start opposing our leader, the next step is to throw you out.
Some of these activists, some of these so-called people, they reach some judges and they look like saviors. Hitler thought he was saving Germany from Jews. He killed 4-5 million Jews. People didn't know it. It was a lie that he was not killing Jews. That lie got exposed 10 years later. And then they said, yes, they are all dead. So please wait another 10 years. I'll show you these lies which have affected 130,000 families in Goa. They are not having a 1 rupee income now. So let me tell you, it is a lie. The Shah Commission is a lie.
They have the enduring support of the government which is in power in Goa as well as the central government in Delhi.
The active mines, you could say, were between 90 to 114 and spread out in the middle portion of Goa from north to south. So, a very critical area for the state in terms of the environmental impacts.
There's a Goa, Fomentos, there was Salgaonkars, there was Dempos, and then there was Bandekars, and then there was Chogles. Then there were any amount of smaller players, and people who had mining leases which had not been operated, which had gone out of, they'd lost their licenses. Suddenly all these leases were revived, and some of them were revived illegally. A Chogle mine was right inside a forest, and they have mined there for 25 years without permission.
Let me tell you, Shah Commission is a big lie. And it is getting exposed. Even the Supreme Court said, don't show me the Shah Commission report. Don't just put it on my table as if that's the truth. And that is one of the findings. The Shah Commission report has been set aside and mining ban lifted. So what these people will say? They saved Goa? No. In the last 2 years, India lost $6 billion in foreign exchange for the country because 80 million tons did not go out. Tax authorities lost $2.5 billion. The 130,000 families of Goa lost $1.5 billion. I may have lost a couple of $100 million along with my other colleagues, but the businessman has been painted black.
I believe there are small-time operators and exporters who were mostly to be blamed. The big companies like Seza, Timlos, Salgaonkar do have their share of irregularities, but they are more of a technical in nature rather than cheating type of in nature. Whereas the others were directly stealing, cheating, all that kind. Like you get ore which is just lying somewhere, steal it and show it as a purchase from someone and export it. That kind of thing also has taken place.
Mining lobby is so much powerful that they can buy any government, including your Parrikar. Why Parrikar, when he was an opposition leader, he worked out on PAC, Public Accounts Committee report. He was as a chairman. Then he brought out to the notice of the people that there is a scam of 3,200 crores. The figure is not by Shah Commission. Shah Commission has quoted 34,000 crores scam in Goa's mining. 85 million tons of the iron ore unrecorded which has gone for export.
So stop this lying again. I can account for every rupee. And it came from China. So if you are saying you robbed somebody, yes, we robbed China.
In the last 2 years, Goa has got a GDP of 8.4%. So we have got an economy which has got a GDP of 8.4%, which is one of the highest in the world today. So it is an economy that is growing very fast, and this last 2 years the GDP has been 8.4% without mining. If there was mining, it would be about 20%, 20 to 21%. Now that is an unnatural GDP because it is sale of your natural resources. So when you sell your natural resources in the way in which they sold in the last 5 years, then the GDP unnaturally goes up. It is not real GDP. It is public money going into private hands.
Every mine owner owns a football club here. The only people who are not in our business is one builder, a real estate builder, big time, who owns a football club. This is probably the only place on the planet where the government acquires public land under a certain section of urgency and gives it to a rich guy to build a hotel. And they say it's in public interest. They might open a small art center. They might open a school. Most of them are into schools. They've invested in papers. They've invested in media. They've not invested in media to help you and me. They've invested in media to control our thoughts. Or, for instance, to propagate a certain language.
Sometimes it appears that SESA and GOA actually complement each other, like any great team.
70% of the iron ore in the world is owned by 5 countries. India, Australia, Brazil, Russia, China. 70%. But the quotation of the metal is in London.
London is, yes, they got a good software, You're using that. I'm also using it. It's called English. So the laws of England, the banking capital of the world, maybe New York or maybe London, the language English, idea of limited liability. So all that is centered around in London. So most of these financial transactions, legal transactions are done in London.
In the state of Goa, the government has not attempted even one epidemiological study on this issue. The only study that has been done is only restricted to respiratory ailments. There is much more impact on manganese poisoning on the human system than iron ore poisoning. There are already scientific studies for the last 15 years that the amount of iron in the water and the amount of manganese in the water is above the norms.
What I see today is a big lie. There is no pollution, and you take it from me, there is no pollution.
Now they are not using dynamite to break the rocks. Now they are using the earth movers or rippers. People who use vibrating equipments, they get less blood supply because of vibration and they develop gangrene. Most of the ore is ferro-manganese mixture. It is mixed with silica. Silica floats in air. If it is above certain parts per million concentration, it goes and deposits. It's not soluble dust. It gets deposited in the lungs. Manganese, is most dangerous because it can cause irreversible Parkinson-like syndrome. Children, if they are affected, you will not able to spot that they have got some illness. They will not behave rationally. They will throw tantrums.
As far as I'm concerned, I have not got any information that speaks of cancer in the mining areas. But surely there will be respiratory problems like maybe asthma and so on. And all that has happened because illegal mining was going on, okay, without any controls. That was during the previous regime.
There are cases of lung cancer. There are cases of lymph gland cancer. There are cases of intestinal cancer. We do not know. That only we can say.
I will not say cancer, but certain lung-related problems. Rather, the dust pollution had its effect in this bronchitis, and some serious lung-oriented problems were noticed in the region. But the health facility was also quite adequate. So it was in pockets where the dust pollution was there. The rest of the area didn't suffer much.
If mining is to be done, then it should be done on a very small scale, and it should be the entire earnings from mining should not go to mining companies, but it should go to a permanent fund, like the Norwegian pension funds, like the funds in Alaska or Alberta or in Botswana and many other countries which have got funds constructed out of the income from the sale of natural resources, which belong to the people of that state. If the private companies mine, you have to remove 50 million tons for the government to get a revenue of 1,000 crores. But if the government does the mining, then you have to mine only 5 million tons because all the profit goes to the government.
No one. I am a face of a common man. I stand for a common man because this mining whole lobby made a mockery of the common man for all last 60 years.
There's no single factory has been shut down by Pollution Control Board. You go to crushers, stone crushers, it is going on. They said that the sand mining is stopped. How much sand you want, you tell me? It is only to increase the rate, and which authorities are takes money in black. Nothing has been stopped. You tell me what is stopped in Goa.
I say that in the interest of protecting the entire Goa and the interest of the Goans, we must stop this mining forever.
Many of our rivers originate in the Western Ghats, a biodiversity hotspot ecoregion found along the eastern side of Goa. It's a chain of mountains that starts in Gujarat and ends in the south. A lot of they are the catchment for many of our rivers.
Goa's landmass covers 3,702 square kilometres and occupies about 2% area of the Western Ghats. The Western Ghats, which form most of eastern Goa, have been internationally recognised as one of the biodiversity hotspots of the world. Goa's wildlife sanctuaries boast of more than 1,512 documented species of plants, over 275 species of birds, over 48 kinds of animals, and over 60 genera of reptiles, and its biodiversity is under threat due to deforestation.
When we are comparing our Goa to Congo Basin or the Amazon, there is a reason for it, is because there is a rich diversity existing in our tropical forested areas, like from North Goa to South Goa. If you go to Madhya Wildlife Sanctuary and come up to the Kotika Wildlife Sanctuary, we have a lot of endemic species existing in these areas. Tiger migrating from Karnataka and Maharashtra to Goa. And we have certainly a potential for a tiger habitat and tiger breeding in Goa naturally.
But there is a lot of area which is outside those eco-sensitive hotspots which can be mined without a problem. We have stopped mining in the wildlife area.
If there is good ore in Western Ghats, make just one hole in the Western Ghats. So you don't touch the Western Ghats. You go inside the Western Ghats. Let's assume there is oil in the Western Ghats, and I make and gas, and I make 1 or 2 holes in the Western Ghats and take the oil and gas for the society. What's wrong in it?
There will be ore, but it may not be removable because it is under the Western Ghats, which is declared a protected area. So the actual amount of ore that they can remove would probably be about 500 million tons. And if they do it slowly, then it may not create too much damage.
If at all something has to be done, it has to be done responsibly. And it cannot be done responsibly by lying. You must address the truth first.
North to south distance is 105 kilometers of Goa. Out of this 105 kilometers, 75 kilometers stretch is under the mining belt. 6 square kilometer is forest land. Salauli provides drinking water to 55% of the Goa's population. Salauli has not less than 16 mining leases, out of which 5 mining leases were right in the catchment area of the dam. Salauli dam gets destroyed because of the mines, 52%, plus Khandepa river. Khandepa river is already gone. The question of 85% of the Goa's population for drinking water is a big question and serious question. What you are going to do to protect the interest of the people as a fundamental right to have an access to the fresh and pure water under Article 21.
%80 of our population is living on the coast. 80%. Only 20% is living on the inside. So if there is a tsunami, if there is sea level rise, which they are already predicting, then you would have a very serious situation. You would need resources, you would need money to help people out. At that stage only you could say that okay, you may do some mining because you are going to disturb a very precious natural heritage which belongs not just to Goa and to India but to the world community.
What about the future generation? We need to restore what we have damaged. We have seen these snakes due to lot of disturbances in the deeper part in the forest areas, or maybe because of one of the reason, maybe probably mining activities in the area. The king cobras are now coming into human habitation. Goa being the very small state, we cannot afford to destroy the entire stretch of Western Ghat areas for mining. We need to also see the sustainability of the biological diversity, which also relates to the life of humans.
You show then it is a conflict between the man and the animals. Why is there a conflict after 50 years in Goa? And therefore king cobras are moving out. Therefore all animals are moving out. Even the leopards are moving out in the city areas, in the settlement areas. The elephants are also moving out and destroying the crops. Everything is happening because there is no safe habitat in their areas where they used to stay in their natural habitat very happily.
We have around 54 species of snakes found in Goa. Out of these 54, hardly few snakes are venomous. We have cobra, the common cobra. We have saw-scaled viper, Russell's viper, and the common Indian crate, which are also known as the big four snakes, which are found all over the country. We have 3 species of pit vipers: the Malabar pit viper, bamboo pit viper, and hump-nosed pit viper. Malabar pit viper, which is only found in our country, nowhere else in the world. To define what is endemic, it is a restricted population or it is only found in that particular region, is endemic. So it has a lot of value which is added to that particular species. There are some 6 snakes which are found in as the snakes in the coast of Goa. They are very deadliest. And as I mentioned, there are no antivenoms for these snakes. And even for king cobra, we do not have any antivenom in the country.
The king cobra, the largest venomous snake in the world, is powerful enough to kill a full-grown elephant. He can live up to 30 years of age. The king cobra's generic name, Ophiophagus, is a Greek-derived word which means snake eater. King cobras are cannibalistic. A case was recorded at the Agumbe Reserve in India showing a male king eating a gravid female.
The force of the copulation is tremendous because the female knows that this could be the last opportunity to conceive. So she puts her entire life force in this copulation to conceive the king. And that is why it is the king. That is why a king cobra is born. That is why nature has put it there. Because she knows this could be the last 5 minutes of her life. It's only when you're close to death that you're fully alive. So we as human beings must also conceive that we can be extinct if we don't learn how to live.
It's clearly shown that fish higher up on the food webs generally accumulate the toxins. It's a process called biomagnification. So basically, if you look at the food web, you have lower trophic plankton, etc., right at the bottom of the food web. Then you have shrimps, etc., that feed on that. Then you have the consumers, and then finally you have the predators. But as you move up, the toxins accumulate. So the larger fish, like the tuna, in Goa, you would think of the big seer fish or the kingfish as they call it. Those fish are generally very high in heavy metal toxins. Eating that seafood has also shown to have deleterious effects in people as well. Eating fish high on the food web has severe consequences on the ecosystem. It's something called fishing down marine food webs, where we target the sharks and the big tuna of the oceans. But by removing those big predators, what you do is you cause something called a trophic cascade, wherein the lower fish, the species lower down the food web, proliferate and they begin to overconsume a resource and thereby collapsing a system. It's similar to removing, say, tigers from a forest.
So this bird you're hearing going that's a white-cheeked barbet sitting on the trees. It doesn't move much and it's green, so it's really well camouflaged. Like I can also hear the Indian pitta calling every now and then going chwee chwee, just one call, chwee chwee. And every once in a while you'll hear and that's the kite.
Yeah, 2 females here, the males here this way down. Oh, there's a sunbird. Oh, that's the purple sunbird. Most of the birds that are the Malabar, with the name Malabar, like Malabar trogon, Malabar hornbills, Malabar shrike, they are all the endemics.
Fishing is also playing a very important role in Goa. You are also undermining the interests of the fishermen communities. You are also undermining the tourism, which is also a sizable chunk as far as economy is concerned, contributing to the GDP, which is equally to the mining.
In the late 60s and early 70s, Goa was called the Mecca of the hippie movement. The influence of the travelling hippies greatly characterised the 70s and 80s. This period brought into Goa music, yoga, and the use of psychedelic drugs, such as LSD and MDMA from the West. The drug trade in the state of Goa was booming at one time through various mafias, under patronage of the highest levels of politicians and local law enforcement. LSD was first synthesized by Albert Hofmann in 1938 from ergotamine, a chemical derived by Arthur Stoll from ergot, a grain fungus that typically grows on rye. The short form LSD comes from its early codename LSD-25, which is an abbreviation for the German Lyserge-Sauer dithalamide, followed by a sequential number. MDMA, methylene dioxymethamphetamine, was first synthesized in 1912 by Anton Kolisch of the German multinational Merck. Alexander Shulgin, an American chemist, is credited with introducing MDMA to psychologists in the late 1970s for psychopharmaceutical use. The oil safrole is the basis for the chemical compound known as MDMA, which is a basic component of ecstasy tablets. Safrole is a phenylpropane. It is a colorless or slightly yellow oily liquid, typically extracted from the root bark or the fruit of sassafras plants in the form of sassafras oil. In the jungle of Cardamos, Cambodia, safrole is extracted through the distillation of the roots of a rare tree, Cinnamomum parthenoxylon. Safrole is also banned by the International Fragrance Association for use in pesticide, soap, and the perfume industry, and is responsible for mass deforestation.
The earlier government had virtually got themselves involved. There was an allegation that the Home Minister and his son himself is a part of the drug racket.
That number, chiefly, boss. He's called me and he's want to meet me, and I lost the number. Banking police, this is narcotic, the chief. The chief. No, maybe he deserves something to give me to sell. Yes, all the time he's giving me 5 kg of ecstasy, not his sketch.
One case has been beaten around for 2 years now, that he was talking to the police. Yes, the policeman whom he was talking to is on the way, he was in jail, and he's dismissed.
We have started cracking, and I think we have had quite a bit of success in that. In fact, the current year's catch is more than last 8 years' catch.
Total 35 kilograms, and out of 35 kilograms, 34.5 kilograms is that of charas, or what we call ganja, or what you call marijuana, or what we call the weed.
California has decriminalized marijuana in the state of California, which is in America. America is paying us billions of dollars to destroy our hills in the mountains, to burn all our charas. For what? And they're legalizing it into their own country. They're being very hypocritical. Hypocrisy has to stop. Why can't we sell charas to other countries? Because our charas is the best charas in the world. Drug is promoted by drug dealers, and drug dealers, some of them don't even know the meaning of music, because they're sitting in their house, they don't come to play music, but they're selling their shit. Now this drugs has to be stopped on the border. It comes through flights, it comes through buses, it comes through trains. Not a single case is caught on the airport. I've seen foreigners, one girl smuggle such a big condom of cocaine into her pussy and bring her on the toilet and show me one day, caught her. So people are carrying it, how they carry it across the world. Music is the breath of Goa. You know, without music, the foreigners will not come. All the synthetic drugs, they do not come from India. They're all brought from abroad. Drugs is in every country. Even at weddings, you have drugs. Private parties, you have drugs. You know, even if somebody's sitting in the forest, they can have drugs. You know, the music has to be segregated from drugs. Ganja and charas is not causing any harm to society, and it has been legalized in most of the countries in the world. We should legalize it in India. And if we legalize this drug in India, we are going to be the richest country in the world.
Marijuana has, unfortunately, very traditional sanction in India. It's the week of Lord Shiva. When we do his puja, we do place it at his altar. During our great festival of, say, for example, our Holi, most of us take a drink called thandai, which is a preparation of bhang. Bhang is just the leaves of marijuana, you know, made into a pulp, sweetness and milk added to it, and a lot of other nuts, fruits added to it, and you drink it, and you go into a kind of high that is ingested through your stomach. Marijuana, as I said, grows all over India, unfortunately.
I took the best trip in Ibiza, and that was the trip related with the witches. And I ran away from the witches because I thought that was not my trip, no, but I was scared. And I ran away from San Carlos up in the hill because I was completely in the trip that I going to be disintegrated in one moment. Mr. Hosman is a hero. Imagine what he discovered, what he is doing. My God, he's a god. All people like taking one time have just adoration for this person.
LSD, MDMA has been and some other, medical derivatives have been the rest of the catch of that 500 gram to 1 kilo. And I think that 1 kilo catch was something to do with MDMA. So this is one thing which we are noticing now because it is very easily available in India too. You know that India, is, as far as chemical manufacturing is concerned, India is a giant. So, I mean, you get whatever tweaked substances very easily out here. MDMA has been, taking the upper seat. If you see the quantum of holes, it is trying to become popular.
I have done stories on how ketamine has come up quite a bit in Goa. Ketamine has been a very big export from India to Italy. One drug dealer here who had set up a factory in Dharwad, Hubli Dharwad, and he was producing ketamine. So he was packaging ketamine as Sati Sabgul. Sati Sabgul is an Ayurvedic medicine for your stomach. It settles your stomach. And it's very, very popular in the West, especially in the US.
The pushers to go towards hard drugs, to push hard drugs more, because given the risk being the same, the pickings are more on hard drugs, not on soft drugs. Most are Indians, maybe one Russian, one Nigerian, one Israeli, one or two Israeli guys.
Sorry to say this, even in the jail, drugs are going on. Drugs peddling is going on, mobiles are being used. You tell me one thing, is it there is a check? My friend who's there in the lockup, he has sent me a CD with the drugs, everything. They have all the facilities of mobile, everything is going on. And I don't feel that Goa will be controlled by any of these things. See, drugs, you think it may be a BJP government, a Congress government. It is going on every day, comes on the paper. I'm not saying that we have got some information. It is going every day, means nothing has been stopped.
Well, I was always asking them, where is the mafia? Which we spoke of. I think that somebody or we ourselves are doing major disservice to Goa, which is a peaceful haven.
I think that for the most part, the drugs that are around in these places are happy drugs. They are not heavy drugs. One might follow the other, but nobody's ever been killed by smoking too many chillums. People have fun, you know, and you dance, you have some smoke, you have some fun. It doesn't hurt anybody.
Se sei un artista o uno che gioca o usa i colori, usa materiali per esprimersi, l'acido voglio dire, ti mette in quella visione, cioè l'acido non ti dice ok, mo adesso prendi lo scalpello e scolpisci qualcosa. L'acido giusto ti mette in questa visione, diciamo, ecco. Tu entri in una visione o in un mondo che poi continua ancora, questo mondo qua, non è un mondo che rimane a sé stante, perché tanto dopo ci sarà l'altro acido e poi l'altro acido ancora, vuol dire non è, o anche che l'acido non lo fai, quella visione lì, quel resoconto, quella, tutto quello rimane.
Love to live free, love nature. We were not wearing clothes and we were sleeping in the caves, in the rocks. How many times I was a criminal lawyer, so I started dealing with crime. One of my friends in court suddenly appeared. He was English, by name John Ryder, and said, "John, what happened to you?" And then said, he told me he was caught nude on the beach. So then I won that case because the only people that had seen him were two cops. At that time I used to take drug cases as well. And one big drug case that I took, one of them, quite a few big drug cases, was about 600 kilos of hashish was being taken in a tempo, I think through Afghanistan and things, but it was caught in Goa. Cocaine, they were trying, yes, I did try as well. But that cocaine has led to the loss of at least 8 of my best friends in motorbike accidents. Somehow I escaped, but all of them died because of this drug scene.
How many years can some people exist before the...
I was very scared about taking LSD and I took, but it was okay. And then after somebody gave me STP. I didn't know I saw LSD, STP. And for 3 weeks I didn't sleep. I took this STP and I flipped out. I was put in jail because I was removing all my clothes, being in Nepal completely out of it, which I tell the story in my book, Ash. It was one of the first books written by a hippie.
Come to Goa 12 years ago. A very interesting fusion of different cultures: punk, rock, jazz, tribal story, and also it is the center of psychedelic culture with all the great trance makers. Goatica tried to combine psytrance platform as a rhythm group, live instrument as trumpet, didgeridoo, and guitar at the same time. Personally, for us, of course, it's a place, it's a fantastic place, music, experimental field. That's our drug, I would say, is music. Anjuna, center of psychedelic world.
Goa changed my mind, not only mine, I think so many people. I make alcohol, liqueur, vodka. This I start to do in Russia and bring to open air, trans party in Russia. Like this, start in Goa my alcohol story. Now we prepare mixing spirit with water for make vodka, and now we will check vodka what we prepared before. How many percent alcohol inside this? Because if you prepare vodka, it's you can check only on the next day. This is spiritometer. With this device we can check how many percent alcohol in this mix, and this between 40% alcohol and 50 on the show. So it's very thin spiritometer, very correct. This vodka, it's okay. This needs little bit corrective with 2% alcohol more. And now we prepare another vodka.
Shiva Shankar Machupati Kailaspati Bombo Leddi Shanti Health Aloud.
Magic mushroom opened my brain, my God, strong trip. After I start painting, Czech people take 1 dose, I take 2 doses to flagellate into another liquid. Liquid mixing with alcohol. You see world so positive, you sometimes cry, how is life strong? And this opened my brain. Ecstasy from California, my God. Full hallucination. Same cooking team, so what make California sunshine, best LSD, make this ecstasy, use proper stuff, what is for ecstasy, special liquid for making perfume, it's not easy find. I start joy, but I'm much thinking already. I thinking, my God, and now maybe I will never see human face. Like this I think. And after, how maybe look my mother, how maybe look my sister. And I start panic, and this trip stopped.
Acid opened the mind, opened perception, door of perception, open and give you knowledge. Mr. Hosman, I see him all the time in the bicycle, in the cosmos. Goa, full drugs, no? Acid, ecstasies, mescaline, ayahuasca, all the drugs coming to Goa. How? Just by magic. There are honey, there are money. If there are money, there are drugs.
He's on chain, but he's very dangerous. He was born during the time when Hoffman was very famous in Goa. On the coast, everybody was searching for Hoffman. And then when I adopted him, he was 3 months old. I named him Hoffman because I was very fascinated by that name. Hoffman takes after Dr. Alfred Hoffman.
Music is in the blood of Goans, and I remember Kalangut Beach was at that time the most famous music beach where I attended a few of my parties in those days. At a party which I attended in the 80s, there must have been more than 10,000 people. LSD was brought in by the Swiss, by Germans, by people from Finland, by Japanese, What gives the pit bull, I think, its bad name is what's the best quality in a pit bull, that's his courage. The pit bull will fight anything, any animal. It may be a lion, it may be a tiger, or it might be people with guns and knives. It will not run away from a fight because a pit bull does not know the meaning of fear.
The first time I came to Goa was in 1977. Money was not important. It was realizing what we had inside. And that you can only do it with love. If you share things with someone, you get better. Making love was suddenly for everybody. This place has been, for many, many, many years, the house of a gentleman. He loved playing poker. And here, you had about 4 tables of poker, where they were gambling like mad. Italian. One died and went to jail and was a big drug dealer. German, French, Swiss, from Holland. Of course, in that crowd, you had a few strong drug dealers. Between the rubbish, between the pollution, all the mafia from Russia and all over the planet, Nigerians and all that who are fighting for the drugs, it has become a very, very tough and unsafe place.
All other therapy in the world are based on the mind, you know. We are working on the heart level and on the emotional level. It's a therapy on 3 days only. The name is Awareness 1. Begin by a big breathing session, a very, very deep breathing. It's to disconnect the mind. When you use your mind, you are too much in the ego.
Open the mind. For me, it signifies acceptance. Means you accept that you are aggressive. You accept that you are violent. You accept that you are manipulative. And when you accept that, that is the only way that you can change. Well, as an ordinary individual who's caught in the rat race, in the world, making money, ambitious, cutthroat, conniving, he has absolutely no chance. So really, with a person who's saying open the mind, he's ready to do away with the mind. It's just that his choice is wrong. He has chosen drugs. But if he gives spirituality a chance, it will work and he will know the true nature.
All these things that are considered dirty and polluting, conventionally they have been done by a particular caste of people. They were called untouchables, they were called, Dalits, they were called whatever it is, they were a particular caste of people were kept only for these occupations because the upper caste did not want to be polluted with these activities. Actually, the Indian Constitution does not recognize caste. It is not at all required that one group of people should look after garbage and the rest of the people should be worrying about computers and hotels. That is also immoral. That is also unfair.
It's not good in garbage throwing over here because it destroys whole society, place. We must not throw because it's not good for health. We must never burn plastics.
Initially, in the markets, you had little boys who would be away from school selling plastic bags. That has been totally banned. The parents were using the children to earn money and keeping them away from school.
The dumps are been put on fire. Dumps, garbage dumps. It is very bad. It remains in air. The chemicals remain in air. It will not go anywhere.
All the people, they drink alcohol in Goa, right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Alcohol. Okay. And those are medicine, right?
Right.
This come from which hospital? Mapsa hospital?
Mapsa.
Mapsa. You can.
Goans, mostly they segregate and burn or make it used for second time, like all the bags and all. These foreigners and all, they just throw, like hotelers. Also hotelers are the main people who throw away here. This hill, then another on the way to Mapsa. These are the main places where they throw. Even I tried twice to stop them, but no result because they don't have an option to throw.
Goa is becoming from a beautiful getaway place. Today, our name of our state is a garbage-filled state. This is what hurts me the most, that the name of Goa has been spoiled so badly.
There are two plants which are being put up, one at Salegaon and one in South Goa. They are each is 100 crores and the technology is being supplied from Germany through an agent in Bombay. That agent, of course, is close to the Bharatiya Janata Party. So obviously half the money will go to the BJP. So obviously it will fail from day one because there is no commitment. There is only a commitment to make some money out of the plant, not to ensure that the plant functions.
Now everybody is aware because even in schools, every small kid knows now, very unlike us when we were kids, that there is something called global warming. There is something wrong with too much of carbon accumulation. And there is something called pollution. How do we get them back, recycle them, and stop polluting the earth?
They give you money for this work?
Yes.
Money? How much? 2,000?
No, 10,000.
3,000 per month. So 3,000 rupee per month. You go school? School also?
छुट्टी है गाँव में
ये ninth मैं fifth
And why you do this work?
बात है
There is a document of Greenpeace of not even 1 month ago. It is saying that Asagao is the most polluted place in Goa. Dioxin every minute that is going out from there. So for me to see an 8 years old taking the garbage for 3,000 rupees, that is given probably to the father because he needs money, so it's a social problem.
They are looking at it as a means of earning their daily bread.
Goa is the land of Shiva. It is called the land of Shanta Durga. And Shanta Durga means Parvati. So mythologically, Goa was supposed to have been created because Parvati wanted an island to go to. In mythology, Parvati is the sister of Ravana, who was the demon king. And Parvati is his sister. He considers her his sister because she symbolizes Shakti, power, feminine power. So he invited her to Lanka, to Sri Lanka, to his island. But Shiva refused to go with her because he said, this is a place of opulence, of gold. I'm a yogi, I live in the rough mountains, I live in the, in the uncomfortable places, in the caves, in the Himalayas. So he refused to go. So she was very angry with him. And in this anger, she threatened to destroy all creation. So he had to create an island to satiate her. And he shot one arrow into the sea. And Goa was born. I'm talking about the mythology behind Goa. And she came here and relaxed. And that's why it's called the land of Shanta Durga. please preserve this wonderful, beautiful land and preserve your spirituality.
My grandfather, when I ask him a question like what is the largest size of a shark you saw, he would probably say 2 meters. Then I asked my dad how a larger shark he saw, he would say probably about 1 meter, his largest shark. And if you ask me, I'd say 50 centimeters, and that was good for me. So our baseline is shrunk over the generations, and that's also dangerous because, and I think for that we need history to tell us, what our future can look like.
To fight for protection of water, which is basically needed, life. Water is called life. The whole human generation comes up, the cradle of civilization on the banks of the river. If that is so, we need to protect the rivers. More so because you Hindu people are calling rivers as sacred entities. I need to protect it now.
Our local population was educated to respect a river. Nobody used to throw something in the river. Liberation came, and when liberation came, outside people came without any touch for Goan life, for Goan ethos, for Goan sentiments.